Everybody, this is Ezekiel G right here on Yahweh's House of Praise. Get ready for part six. Part six. Now, each verse I'm going to break down like usual. I just want you to hear what it says. Okay? Now, this is Mark chapter 8, verse 34. Then call the crowd to join his disciples. He said, if any of you wants to be my follower, you must give up your own way and take up your cross and follow me. Once again, we said this before. This is same as the verse where it says, lean not to nine and don't understand, but then always acknowledge his. What God is saying with this, as you walk on the narrow road, as you go into this, because this is what we're talking about, you have to acknowledge his ways. You have to take up your cross. Meaning, like we talked about in the last video, in number 5, where we said that he knows you're going to fall short, to break you out of captivity and walk in freedom of truth. Here's another verse right here matching that. God wants you to walk in truth and walk and acknowledge his ways, that he is the way and the truth and the life. This is where the design is fit perfect, where he is literally telling you again and again and again, acknowledge his ways. When you open the door and let him in, when you become baptized, when you become a new blood believer, all the way up until he calls you home, acknowledge his ways. Lean not to your own understanding. Take the discipline and at the same time build a relationship. Then in John 15 and 18 and 20, let's listen. $6 tasted so good. IHOP's breakfast base combo is now just $6. If the world hates you, remember that if hate I told you this before. I'm so glad to hear it come out. Hold on. Listen to it. John chapter 15, 18 and 20. It says, if the world hates you, remember that it hated me first. I told you. This world is not going to like you when you choose God. When you choose to do the right things, even if it's not God, you don't choose to smoke weed no more. People that do it not going to fool with you. You choose not to do certain acts no more. People are not going to want to hang around you. What you used to be accustomed to is not becoming connected to you. God knows you're going to be hated. And he's saying, hey, they hated me first, but at the same time, you got to be okay with it. Then it goes and says, the world would love you as one of its own if you belong to it. But you are no longer part of the world, meaning you belong to God. I chose you to come out of the world, so it hates you. Do you remember what I told you? A slave is not greater than the master. Since they persecuted me, naturally they will persecute you. And if they had listened to me, they would listen to you. So the world will love you if you belong to the world. People that love hot dogs will love this next man that love hot dogs. If you are another person that loves the worldly things, such and you over exaggerated. You love shoes, another person that loves shoes is going to be with you. You love fitness, another person is going to be with you that loves this. But at the same time, it's different things that you're connected to. But when you connected to God, man, if you're not slaved to the nation, meaning slave to the people, slave to the things of the world, they're not going to like you. An angry mind is a narrow mind. If you're not angry, they won't think anything else of you. But once you are humble and peaceful, there's completely something different in you. Let me make it real. Let me make it plain. And I'm going to hit it as many races as I can. When you don't have the mentality of a slave, when you are not following Willie Lynch laws, when you are not accustomed to these ways, the people that are think different of you, put the light skin versus the dark skin, and watch them fight each other. Take your biggest man, beat him, and humiliate him, and watch him decompose himself. When you're not subjective to these things and you're overcoming these things, you're not stuck to the status quo of what society says. Dye your hair, color your hair, so you can fit in and be like everyone else. You're not society's taste anymore. They're not going to like you. When you're from the UK descent, Russia, German. Now, these are not. Now, let me be straight clear. These are not all Caucasian people. There's black people in each one of those countries. There's Asian people in each one of those countries. But when you go to Caucasian descent and you are loving of all cultures and creeds, when you're understanding of each individual, each understanding and platforms, you're willing to help the next person up instead of being a part of the status quo is what society says. Some people not going to like you. When there's great people in this world, whether you're Asian, black, green, red, or yellow, when you care for every mankind and care for their being in life and willing for them to grow, it's a different light. God said in John 15 and verses 18 to 20, the world not going to like you. Remember, they didn't like me first. We're not a slave to something. The people that's slave to it still won't like you. House and field don't like each other. One's treated better than the other, but when the other runs away, the other go tells the one that's in charge. In other words, the slave mentality. I'm telling you, buckle up, because this is the main things. He already told you, different verse. Give you room to break away from the mentality of this world. Give you room to break away from the mental state. He know that you want to have foolish ways. He know you gonna have these things in you because you're encased in this flesh. But he know you're gonna get back up again. See how our God works? Wise. Now, he wants you to acknowledge his ways. Last, as we said, look around and look for the wise and keep with them. Then it says, once again, Mark 8:34, New Living Translation. Then calling the crowd to join his disciples, he said, if any of you wants to be my follower, you must give up your own ways and take up your cross and follow me. He wants you to follow you, but you follow God, but you have to be disciplined enough to let go of some of the things that held you captive. Institutionalized mindset. Slave driver mentality. Willie Lynch mentality. The art of not loving another individual because of their own complexion or facing the subjection to society when even red, green, white, yellow, Caucasian, Irish, German, Spaniard, whatever may love all colors and creeds of the world. And there's some that don't, and they may dislike you just because of how you stand. Willing to shake another race's hand and show unification between colors and creeds and teach one and reach in one. Pick up your cross and follow God. They're not going to like you. They didn't like him. Your mentality is never the same. But God chose you so you came out of this world. Peace and love.